Alright guys, this is Cameron, or Moxnix if you know me from the Salvation Forums, where I post my deck list here. This is my Damia Sage of Stone EDH deck list. It is my oldest deck. I've been doing a lot of testing and changing to it in the last year or so. If you saw my last video, the deck has changed a lot. If you don't know what Damia does, she pretty much draws you to 7, skip your draw step, 4/4 Death Touch, and she draws you to 7 on your turn. She costs 7, which is quite a lot, but we ramp really aggressively in this deck, so casting her really isn't a problem. We can cast her pretty early, turn 3 or turn 4. Normally you don't try to cast her right off the gate, but she's a good backup plan, or if you just ramp to her really fast, you might as well toss her out there. Pretty much anytime you suck creature removal in this deck, it's going to help you, because we finish with Tooth and Nail most games, and pretty much anything that sucks removal is going to help us finish in the end anyway. So casting her early or later in the game is always helpful, whether she dies or not. We're going to start with the land base. We're going to go through the lands pretty quick because they're just lands. I play a couple of each basic, just 2. 2 forests, 2 islands, 2 swamps. It's important that I play a couple of each because I play a fetch base, and because I play land search, and because I play Crucible and I use Exploration sometimes to get out 2 lands a turn. So like, let's say you get a on color fetch. If you're running all the duels, you can hit like all of your duels plus both side lands, so that's like 10 lands off Crucible combo or Crucible combo. Also important because there's only like 6 forests in the deck, but that's enough considering we run some forest search. But you need a couple extra of each, just in case you need like Necro. That's why you have to have 2 swamps or islands, anything like that. Just good for fetching. General searching, I think like maybe 1 or 2 cards. The next lands we run are the check lands, and the check lands are pretty good. Most of the time when you're playing a fetch place, it's like you have 15 virtual duels. So these guys are almost always untapped dual lands. They always tap for color, so they're always pretty good. These guys don't tap for color by themselves, but they're totally awesome, these filter lands. Pretty much as long as you get any color that's on them, you're going to be able to filter to more than 1 color. It's pretty sweet. Yeah. Usually they're pretty good. I mean, in hand you'll get other colorless lands with, which there's a few in this deck. It's not that great, but you can parse colorless lands away when you're parsing lots of cards at once, and hope to hit a colored land and maybe gift those utility lands later. Shock lands, needed for fetching. Usually we'll fetch blue in this deck. We play a perfectly balanced mana base, but the fetch lands allow us to get blue, 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 or black early in the game if we need to drop a quick Necro or something like that. But in general, we'll be fetching mostly blue. Play a set of dual lands. Black fetches only hit the blacks. Greens only hit the greens. Blues only hit the blues. Totaling of 9, and the last 3 hit all of our dual lands. Well, not this one. This is one of the blues. Oh, I guess we already did Verdant Catacombs. Well, Verdant Catacombs, along with these guys, hit all of our dual lands, as well as 2 colors for our basics. So that's good if you're running Crucible Engine or anything like that. It's also just good because it gives you that many dual lands, pretty much. You're almost always going to be playing dual lands. So in this deck, it's usually Tropical Isle turn 1, like most games. Command Tower, Rainbow Land, good in almost any deck, especially 3 color. Exotic Orchard really has no drawback. I play against blue and black pretty much every game, and usually green. So this is pretty much a Rainbow Land, and it always taps for something the turn it comes out, as long as I'm not playing first. But yeah, Rainbow Land with no real drawback. Reflecting Pool doesn't really have a drawback either. It's also kind of a Rainbow Land. Doesn't fix for colors you don't need, but for blue, green, and black, it's really good for me to get that second color right away. So if you get a fetch off or something, this becomes like really good right away. Waste and Strip, just because there's other really good lands out there. Disable, Coffers combo, something like that. You can recur them with Crucible, though normally we're trying to get to Mana Barrier really quick and win the game, so typically we're not going to pop these, but it's nice to have them around just in case you really need to. Doesn't really cost too much. We don't run too many utility colorless lands. The rest of our utility lands here, Reliquary is awesome in any deck, but it's really awesome in this deck because normally we like to ramp, then draw a ton of cards off of like Recurring Insight or Necro or something of that nature. this card lets us keep them all. So if someone ad nauseums and then you draw 31 cards off their ad nauseum because they popped it in between trying to avoid counter magic, you know, you don't have to discard any of those 31 cards, which is nice. Volraths, pretty much just nice for getting back recursion creature like Eternal Witness or something later in the game. One of your combo cards, something you pitched early, maybe you had the Phantasmal Image, you know, general early in the game for control play, and you need to get them back, or it makes your combo easier. You can just go off if you get that in your hand next turn. Pretty much this plus 2 other mana, so 3 to put it in your hand. Well, not in your hand, top of your deck, but still pretty good. Alchemist Refuge is really good. It's pretty much the Seaborn Muse land. You can flash anything to play for value. It's also good if you just want to hold counter spells, you know, still make a value play. When you think someone might be about to, you know, play something really nasty, they ramp really quickly, but you still want to be able to play, you know, something behind it. Costs a little bit to get it off. And then this deck hates getting counterspelled, so when you're ready to time stretch or tooth and nail or finish a game with something that you need to get off. This land is not really good in your opening hand, but later in the game, it's pretty much a necessity. Well, not a necessity, but really, really, really nice to have. Makes things really simple. Uncounterable counter spells, things of that nature. A total of 54 mana cards in this deck if you include the lands. That was 36 lands. So we're going to go through the mana acceleration next. So that's 18 mana acceleration cards, guys. That's a lot of mana, but our general costs a lot of mana, and we're a mana barrier deck. Pretty much as soon as we get to 9 to 10, we want to win the game. And we pretty much are able to do that most of the time. It all starts with the mana ramp. And the best mana ramp in the game, at least in the format in my opinion, is Mana Crypt. Mana Crypt is 0 mana, taps for 2. That lets you do 4 drops on turn 2, 3 drops on turn 1. Vamp and Imperial Seal get this crap all the time, especially if I get a ramp 2 on a 4 drop or something. It just lets you explode out the gate, and you know, Tooth and Nailing for 7 is the easiest way to go off with 7 lands. That is, this is usually its buddy. This is Soul Ring. Speak of the Devil. 1 mana, taps for 2. Brokenly good. Tutor for it heavily early in the game if you get a 1-drop tutor or something like that. Otherwise, it's never bad to draw. I mean, it's better than a land at almost any point. Mana Vault, same type thing. 1-drop again. Big acceleration. Explode into a 5 or a 4-drop. Good with Seaborn Muse, she'll untap it. Good with the Bribery at 5. I wouldn't really just time warp into it, but the ramp 2s like Skyshark Claim or Ranger's Path, I would pitch this too for a while. It's good to note that with Damia, you can draw the cards first before you decide to untap it or not, since you got to do it upkeep, end of upkeep. Exploration combos with Crucible. It's good because it's a 1-drop, so in an opening hand it'll get you to 3 or 4 mana at least right away. Good hands, you'll get that 5th land drop. It usually gets you to 3 or 4. But that lets you play another quick ramp card or a 4 value card or something like that to keep the wheels turning. And then later in the game, when you do one of your big draws and move to the next phase, it's just money. It gets you free land drops at that point to let you go off turns earlier, make plays faster on every turn. It's just really, really good. And if you can get the engine with Crucible with either strips or fetches, it's really, really, really strong. Worth tutoring if you get one of the others. This looks like it's a 3-drop, but it's here with the 1-drops because it has Suspend for 1. It only has Suspend 2. Gets a basic land into play untapped. So playing this turn 1, you wouldn't get your ramp to play a 3-drop on turn 2, but on turn 4, this still ramps you into a 4-drop, and there's still a good chance to play a 2-drop in this deck. We play lots of fast drops. Later in the game, you can just hardcast it for 3 and stick a untapped right into play, so it's like it costs 2 for your turn. And it can get islands, which is really awesome, or swamps if I need a Necro or something like that. But yeah, grabs islands. Doesn't actually grab forest, which we run light on. Birds of Paradise is an awesome card. 1 mana, taps for any color, and it flies. So a great 1-drop, great off a refill off Damia or some big draw, because you can just cast this guy and he's 1 mana, taps for 1 mana, any color. Good in an opener, good at any point in the game. Can squeeze him in between time warps and things like that to gain that little extra mana to be able to finish someone off with your combo. To start the 2-drops for mana, we got Grim Monolith. Great with Seaborn Muse yet again. Good for going into the Recurring Insight or a mana Reflection, which actually combos with for infinite mana, which we usually don't use, but it's really nice when you do get it. Yeah. It taps for 3 mana, and the thing I really like about this more than Mana Vault isn't just the not ping, but that you can do it at any time. So you decide you don't need to counterspell, no one played anything that threatening, you can untap it for big tempo plays on your turn again. Kind of like a Dark Ritual that just keeps on giving. Nature's Lore, nothing special here. 3 visits, pretty much the same thing as Nature Lore. They both bring forests into play untapped, so they have a net cost of 1, and they grab me my forest dual lands, which is nice on a 2-drop. You really want to be ramping on turn 1 and 2 in this deck, so we need some turn 2 ramp. Lands are the best because of Pollen combo, so we want to grab as many lands as we can. Farseek puts it into play tapped, but it can grab our black-blue duals mainly is the thing we really like to grab with this, like Watery Grave and Underground Sea. So that's almost like another copy of that. And those are pretty much like running lands, except they're into play lands, because you always have at least 2 mana in your hand. They're pretty much like into play dual lands. So kind of like more fetches. Crucible doesn't actually ramp lands, but it guarantees you land drops with fetch lands, gets back things if you pitch them, factor fetching splits, anything like that, Lots of ways cards go to the yard. Crucible's pretty sweet. Yeah, I told you about the engine, I think, more than enough times. It's just a really good card. Good against land destruction as well. Ooh, I'm a little out of focus here. Let's see here. I think I clicked something. Let's see if I can fix it. There we go. Next card is Coalition Relic. We usually don't like 3-drop mana acceleration in this deck. 3-drops aren't particularly good in general in this format. This one's special because it taps for 2 and breaks the rule before getting to 4 of tapping for more mana. It taps for colored. So this leads right into our drops, just like all the other cards that are big tempo cards, except it gives us colored mana, which is really nice, and it, yet again, is another card that's really awesome with Seedborn Muse. The mana ramp is actually really awesome with Seedborn Muse in this deck. This card ramps 3 and costs a net of 1, and it's a 4-drop. That's pretty awesome early in the game, just trying to get out a quick Damia or quick spell. It's also great later in the game because it only costs 1, so if you're about to time warp off and kill everybody, ramp 3, time warp, okay, now I'm going to kill you all. And it costs you 1. Ranger's Path and Skyshroud Claim. Ranger's Path is definitely worse than Skyshroud Claim. It's into play tap Skyshroud Claim. They're both forest searchers. Skyshroud Claim makes for some of the best plays in the deck. When you can get like Soul Ring or Mana Crypt with one of these dudes, or like especially this guy, and you get like a Mana Drain and someone else open with a Soul Ring, you can pop like turn 3 Tooth and Nails off of Mana Drain in that thing and just kill people if you have the right cards in your hand. It's pretty sick. Getting lands into play on tapped is awesome. Just ramping 2 lands is always awesome. Getting the duels gives us double sources. Completely mana fixes and lets us play anything in the deck we want, whether it's a counter spell, a control spell, more ramp, mana ramp, or tutor to go get our win card, whatever. Go to the Lows protects itself. That's what's really nice. You can drop a Necro off it. 3 of any color is always awesome. Retaps, net costs a 2. Like I said, play a counter spell to protect it behind it because it's something that's juicy to get killed, so you can bait removal and suck it out. Talk about baiting removal. This card pretty much says kill me, or when I board I win. This gets you straight to mana barrier every game. If you have 9 lands out, you can drop this into a time warp, makes the mana barrier like that 1 lower, like another like tooth and nail kill. You can time warp off this guy, and then pretty much any tutor you've got can just seal the game at that point. Really good to tutor that off the increasing ambition, because then you have gas guaranteed in the yard for the win. At 12, pretty much, well, at 14 if you land drop, because it takes 13 to get a time warp off the flashback from increasing ambition, and then a kill card. So, good 5 into 6 drop in those. And then the Big Daddy ramp card. He is a kill card in the Tooth and Nail combo. He's a tradable slot with Phantasmal Image for infinite mana off creature outlet to Pollencron. But he's nasty. People want to kill him if you pull him in the Pollencron combo, leaving your combo piece alone. The one that's the most important that we have interchangeable effects for and stuff. He's nasty if you play him by himself. Deadeye Navigator is nice for a quicker kill and not needing as many lands, but Vorinclex has his benefits to him as well. For example, he beats if someone's smart enough to sadistic sacrament me for the perfect 3 cards, which I don't think anyone knows what those are except for me, but I am not even going to mention it. There is a perfect 3 to take, but this guy's just nasty. People want to remove him. They get time walked if they have to Wrath. You can just drop him out early in the game off one of your big ramp cards. Almost always sucks a removal. Get someone tapped down. If you get it on tap, it's a kill, just like Mana Reflection. Great off. Guaranteed the better way to play the combo, because if someone interrupts and they kill your Pollen Crawling, you can still probably flash back or time warp or do some kind of crap with the untapped trigger and the 14 mana it'll produce off that, especially if you got extra floating. We use Replication to kill in this deck a lot, so we don't necessarily need Infinite. Getting to 20 will get us there. Part of the reason I like Replication better than a lot of these cards. Next we're going to move to our control suite. We have 2 controlling creatures. The Seaborn Muse I've talked about a lot. She's really good with Damia in that you can drop Damia with her out, and all of a sudden all your counter spells become Force of Will status. You can tap down and still play counters, as well as other value cards like Intuition or Fact or Fiction, something of that nature. Nice soft lock with Capsize. You get hands where you just like Mana Vault into her, and then you drop another land, and now you're soft locking with Capsize. And if you were the first person to draw, they're all on turn 2, and you're bouncing their lands back. Probably blue players first. And that pretty much just seals the game right there. Her partner in crime here is Teferi. They work great together, and he is really awesome because he's an amazing counter control card. Stops people from counterspelling me, stops people from interrupting my Tooth and Nail combo, flashes in, lets me flash Damia in. So if we get these guys together, oh yes, you can flash Damia in after you've emptied your hand, and no one can respond to it because it'll be end of turn. There you get your draw. Protect your combo in the end. Something that must be removed. Yet again, these cards are auto kills. Everything I play should suck people's removal, and everything I get will need to suck more removal, or they're going to lose. So the more things we play that people want to kill, the better. We'll go to counter spells next. Pact of Negation, one of the best counter spells in the deck. Definitely the top 3. 0 mana counter spell. We get lots of mana in this deck quick. You can't really use this counter maybe in the first couple turns necessarily, but you can definitely use it later in the game. On the turn you're winning is awesome. In a counter spell war when they think you don't have anything and you really need it, and then you can just time warp on a turn when you're at 10 mana or something, finish the game out. Good late game finishing counter spell. Great for Tooth and Nail. Just a good counter spell in general. I love that it's blue, so I can pitch to Force of Will even though it costs 0. That's pretty funny. Counter spell, tried and true. 2 mana counters anything. You can't get much better than that. The reason we play